Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Plant Forward, organized by ACT Asia's Compassionate Choices Network. The Compassionate Choices Network is a community of nonprofit organizations and social enterprises in Asia who collaborate on social change related to impact on animals, people, and the environment. The network aims to reduce consumer demand for products and services that cause harm and destruction to our planet. We provide education to help people make compassionate choices by increasing understanding of practices and production methods and the impact they have on all who share our planet. We are promoting solutions in Asia for Asia by building a movement of compassionate consumers in the region. So we're really glad to see you here today. We have a total of 6 sessions in this year's Plant Forward, ranging from authentic Asian plant-based cooking demos to live Q&A sessions with Asian doctors on how a plant-based diet is beneficial to your physical and mental health. Please visit our website at actasia.org/plant-forward for more information. And we look forward to seeing you at the other sessions. And now let's get started, and we hope you will enjoy today's event. Thank you.
Hi, 皆さん、こんにちは。
Hello, everybody. My name is Chihiro Okada. I am the representative of Animal Rights Center in Tokyo, Japan. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Nikki is providing English interpreting, and there's also Chinese interpreting as well. Today, we have a doctor specializing in colon and anal diseases, Dr. Tateshi Fujiyoshi. Thank you very much, doctor. Let me first introduce Sensei. Dr. Fujiyoshi is the chief of the clinic, the Fujiyoshi Clinic in Kumamoto, southern Japan. He is an authority in colonic and anal diseases, and also the large intestine. His clinic specializes in not just treating, but also guiding and mentoring people through dietary therapy centered around a plant-based diet. At the clinic, they also sell many plant-based food products and is also an advisor for our Animal Rights Center. He is also working in protecting stray cats through a nonprofit organization. He's very active and very passionate about his work. Also, in recent years, he has started selling vegan bento that he created at the local pachinko parlor. So he is really working in the community to spread plant-based dietary options. Thank you for the introduction. So we're excited to have you today. So I will now pull up the PowerPoint presentation. Hello, everybody. In the last 10 years, medicine has really evolved in so many leaps and bounds. Old ideas, old knowledge about medicine, many of it doesn't work anymore. Ideas about what is healthy, what is an ideal diet has changed a lot in recent years. Dr. Sinclair of Harvard and Ambra Mayer of UCLA, 3 years ago, they discovered the merits of a plant-based diet, and their findings have been introduced all around the world. So that is what I would like to talk about today.
それでは始めさせてもらいます。
So let me begin. A plant-based diet, what does it mean? What is it for?
19年修復することにあるという。
The first purpose of a plant-based diet is treating damaged cells.
プラントベースのお野菜の中に
A plant-based, vegetable-centric diet, they don't have special powers to heal, such as polyphenol in red wine. It is known to change the mechanism of the cells. And as a result, a plant-based diet, these nutrients, these active ingredient nutrients can work to fix damaged cells. And when cells begin the healing process, the oxidation within the body is reversed, and the human body can actually be rejuvenated and seem younger again. So this polyphenol, what kind of vegetable contains large amounts of polyphenol? It is the plant vegetables that have been grown in very stressful environments. Such as plants, vegetables, fruits that have been harvested, that have been grown in very challenging, difficult environments. Those are the ones that have the power to heal the human cell without any pesticides, but fighting against nature with its own nutrients. And if you compare those with plants, vegetables that have been grown in very protective environments, such as a greenhouse, they can have a difference of up to 10 to or even 100 times the level of polyphenol. So it is the complexity of the polyphenol of the environment that the vegetable grew in is what benefits us when we consume those foods. So we cannot simply say any plant-based diet would do. It has to be plants that were grown in challenging, very, very difficult environments. Those are the plants that can help us. The second way such plants can benefit us is that they help our DNA information, our cell information, be passed on to the next generation. DNA DNA information cannot be broken down or damaged. It is a digital information that is within our body. But what gets damaged by poor diet is the paths that the genetic information is passed on through. That's the analog part. So a superior path for DNA information, it's folded into very, very small compartment, but a poor environment, a poor diet can damage the paths for the genetic information to be passed down, which means that a better plant-based diet of a superior nutritional value can help us pass down better genetic information to future generations.
DNA の修理はどのように行われているか。
So you might be wondering how genetic information can actually be healed.
ですね、すいません、10億年って書いてあるやつなんですけど、入れ替えてもらえますかね。岡田さん。
So I'm trying to show a different page.
10億っていう数字が
10億年は1個前ですね。もう少し上。あれ
Please bear with us while we...
もう少し上だよ、もえちゃん。もえちゃん、10億年だから1ページ、まだ1ページ目みたい。1ページ目。多分。なんか、よく聞いとかないとダメです、先生の話。
そこです。10億年前に
もうほんの少し下にして、そこです。
新しい細胞が出てきました。
Okay, so let me continue. So
先生の話聞いとかないとこれ絶対無理です。聞いといてください。
大丈夫です。
So 1 billion years ago, it is we know that new cells emerged from within living organisms. So a billion years ago, the cells split and new cells emerged. And it is known that when the environment is suitable for evolution, the cells will start to split and evolve. But when the environment is poor and dangerous, cells will stop splitting, but turn that energy towards self-healing. So when a living creature is surrounded within a poor environment, instead of splitting cells and growing, they will reserve that energy to decreasing to poor genetics, genetic information. And this is what actually stops aging process. And this is how we as the human race, as Homo sapiens, have come into evolution. We will now go to the next page. So just to summarize, a young normal DNA, let's say that this gets damaged by radioactivity, radio waves. When DNA is damaged, it creates a disruption to its work. It becomes a very unstable genetic information. And sometimes that genetic information can be passed down in an incorrect way. That leads to poor functioning cells and rapid aging, illness, and death. So to summarize all this, the one thing that is absolutely essential for a healthy life is the next 3 points. The first is to decrease our dietary consumption, to eat less. This, if we look back in ancient Roman times, there is a record of a mayor in Venice who lived until he was 102. That's the same age, same time period as Michelangelo. This mayor decided to eat less when he was 35 years old. Something made him realize that eating less was the key, could be the key to living a longer life. And until he died at 102, he would only eat 350 grams of vegetables every day, and 700 cc of red wine. And this was the only thing he ate for essentially 70 years. So a small plate of vegetables and a glass of red wine was all he ate for 70 years. And he was an active mayor of Venice in ancient Roman times. And this is on record, and this is the oldest record of such a conscious plant-based life. There are many other cases widely known, as you might be already aware of. Now I'll go more into detail later. But another point I want to share with you is that just small amounts of fasting can give amazing results. Twice a week, to skip breakfast. Ideally, to skip breakfast and maybe have an early lunch. Just doing this twice a week can rapidly improve our genetic information and improve our DNA. Even in the international breast cancer research communities, this has been proven. This is closely looked into and widely supported. Breast cancer patients are told to do these regular fasting as part of their treatment. In Japan, traditionally, people would stop eating if they were unwell. And this is still supported to this day, that for people who are battling a disease or sickness, they are advised to eat less food. And also this practice is seen in traditional Greek religious Christianity, the old way of living for people of Orthodox Greek Christianity also follow a similar regular fasting pattern. And they also live very long, healthy lives. The third point is the third method of living a healthy, long life is to greatly reduce the amount of animal-based protein, which is very rich in nutrients. This is what is necessary for a more productive genetic information being passed down. So we, as humans, we absolutely require amino acids to live. And these essential amino acids were thought to only exist in animal meats, animal-based protein. But this can actually be the alternative to this is soy-based protein. This research has been going on for many decades, but essential amino acids is actually, when we don't have enough of it, when we don't have enough essential amino acids in our bodies, our bodies can actually reproduce this through damaged cells. And this is the very important part that I want to stress. If we can move to the next slide, I will explain this in more detail. So why is meat so dangerous? Because it is rich in nutrients, as in animal-based protein, and such rich nutrient-dense foods will trap damaged DNA within our bodies. And these damaged DNAs will stay in our body for the reproduction of essential amino acids. But this will lead to inflammation within our body, which leads to aging. An element called cytokine is responsible for our aging process. So nutrient-rich meat products will trap damaged DNA information within our bodies, which is used to reproduce essential amino acids, which creates inflammation, which leads to aging, illness, and eventual death. So some amino acids are dangerous. So what kinds of amino acids should be avoided? Moving on to the next page. So one kind of amino acid is called methionine. Methionine is very rich. It is found in chicken and eggs. If we reduce the amount of methionine in our diet, we lose excess weight. Another kind of dangerous amino acid is called leucine, which is found that if you eat a lot of leucine in one go, this can give you a lot of muscle. It is found in protein products. So many athletes, many people who want to build muscle will consume a lot of leucine. But however, other than creating a lot of muscle in a short amount of time, this will also lead to rapid aging. Since this was discovered, many athletes, sportsmen, bodybuilders, many people have started cutting back on meat because they want to avoid rapid aging. So my presentation is almost coming to a close, but I want to talk about what kinds of things damage our DNA. We cannot avoid being damaged, our DNA being damaged. So tobacco, cigarettes, is the #1 DNA damager. Second, this might surprise some of you, but plastic packaging that you will find in supermarkets, convenience stores, anything that is microwavable, that comes in a plastic container. It's not the plastic itself that is the problem that damages DNA, but if you put this in a microwave and heat it, PCB, polychlorinated biphenyl, this will leach into our foods, which goes into our body, of course. It is absolutely terrible. Third thing that damages our DNA is sulfite, found in meat preservatives, sausages, minced meat, patties, any kinds of preserved, processed meat products. And this sulfite is also responsible for rapid aging. The fourth dangerous thing that damages our DNA is radioactivity. And the fifth most dangerous thing that damages our cell, this is also being discovered recently, is PCB and mercury found in fish, in sea products, especially large fish, and also microplastic. Fish products containing PCB, chemicals, and microplastic. This all goes into our body. And what's worse, they will leave damaging results within our ovaries, within our testicles, and that in turn will lead to damaged cell information for the next generation. Unfortunately, as long as we live on this planet, we cannot protect ourselves 100%. So apart from living a plant-based diet, we must ensure that we stay away from cigarettes, we stay away from plastic packaging that go into the microwave, and any kind of sulfite preservatives, and mercury, PCB, microplastics, and radioactivity as much as possible. However, please be assured that any kind of damaged genetic information can be improved and healed with an ideal plant-based diet. just like I mentioned in the very first part, not any plant-based diet is the same. Plants, vegetables, fruits that were grown in very challenging, difficult environments are the ones that create the most level of polyphenol, which is very ideal for our bodies. And so I think it's safe to say that also avoiding plants, vegetables grown in greenhouses, very safe, artificial environments, is also advisable. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you. So, just to recap, eating less calories, eating less meat, because the real reason of eating a plant-based diet it is important to be aware of plants that were grown in challenging environments. All of this put together will allow us to leave better genetic information, better genes for the future generation. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's really interesting to understand that a plant-based diet of the best kind is beneficial not only for ourselves, but also for future generations as well. So I understand we have a few questions. What are the kinds of colors of the plants or the vegetables that we should be taking? Yes, so I mentioned polyphenol in the very beginning. The more polyphenol we can consume, the better. So colorful vegetables is the key, because colorful vegetables contain more polyphenol. So red vegetables, not just red vegetables, but such as a purple cabbage, purple onions, red onions. But you don't have to only just focus on those two vegetables. Many kinds of vegetables are found in red, purple colors. So just remember that the more red and purple vegetables you can consume, the more polyphenol you are taking in. What about eggplants? I love eggplants. Do they contain polyphenol? Yes, they do, in the skin. My neighbor peels the skin off the eggplant. Some people like white eggplants as well. The white eggplants are also beneficial, but keep the skin on. If you leave it in salt water for a while, they can they're very delicious for cooking. So somebody has left a comment. So I understand that avoiding animal protein is necessary, but what kind of plant-based protein is advisable? So vegetables do contain a lot of protein. But just remember what I said, that if the body does not have enough protein in itself, it will try to balance it out by emitting out old nutrients and toxins out. So we don't have to always try to consume externally protein because our body is capable of balancing out not having enough protein. So locally grown vegetables, seasonal vegetables, you're saying that this is enough for a healthy life. So in our saliva, we find a compound called amylase in our saliva, and this comes from starch, potato starch.
そうするとですね、別の質問できていたんですけれども、菜食だと、タンパク質を大豆製品から取ることが多くなりますが、イソフラボンの取りすぎを懸念しています。弊害などありますか？まず弊害があるかどうかということと、
So somebody is asking, is there any kind of demerits of soy protein? So soy protein contains a compound that's very similar to female hormones. And at one point, people believed that it is best to avoid soy, especially if you had a breast cancer. However, today, international research on breast cancer advises taking soy protein. That's great because I love soy protein, soy meats. Many people are curious that it is right to consume a lot of soy protein. Also, I wanted to ask about your vegan bento. Can you tell us what kind of plant-based bento that you sell at the local pachinko parlor? Fiber was the key ingredient because we need fiber to increase our dietary fiber within our intestines. So we need both kinds of fiber, such as fiber found in root vegetables and also vegetables like onions. So there's two kinds of plant-based fiber. One that is that can be digested. So although I'm a specialist in intestinal health, there's research that suggests that children with certain kinds of autism can be improved if they take in the right kind of dietary fiber. Alzheimer is also something that is looked into. So water-soluble fiber and non-soluble fiber are both essential for healing all kinds of illnesses and disorders.
抗生物質を使って追い出してしまう。そして、もともとお母さんからもらった菌に戻してしまうというやり方で、今とてもいい成績が上がっています。
So the research is done further to find out that very revolutionary research and evidence is being discovered coming from plant-based diet.
先生の、お弁当っていうのはパチンコ屋さんとかで売られていらっしゃると思うんですけれども。
So I understand that your vegan bento is being sold in a pachinko parlor, just sort of where people go to play in the slot machines. And these are very popular with people who go and play the slot machines, and they can buy a very affordable vegan bento. A pachinko parlor isn't really the first place that you would imagine for health conscious people to go. I can't imagine that people would want to eat a vegan bento while playing the poker machine or the. So when COVID first started, when the pandemic first started, people who loved going to play pachinko would continue going because nobody talks, nobody shares, nobody really talks in pachinko parlors. So people thought that it was very safe to keep playing the poke machines. I'm also working on producing frozen plant-based meals that can be sold online, which means that people will be able to buy my plant-based bentos online. It will be sold through online vegan focused web portal, an e-commerce site. Finally, I want to ask a little bit about your patients. Yeah, you guide your patients to eat a plant-based diet, brown rice, traditional Japanese diet. There's a vet who I work closely with. This vet is 2 years ago, he weighed 95 kilograms and he had all kinds of health issues. And he was warned by his doctor that he had to do something about his weight. And I made his weekly diet. I told him, I'm going to make all your meals for the next week. Come and pick it up from me. And he continued this kind of diet. And he lost about 20 kilograms. And most of his health concerns went away. So this shows that simply changing your diet can make a dramatic change. So does that mean that your vegan bento was working to flush out all the bad stuff from his body? That's wonderful. I see a lot of patients with diabetes. So one particular patient who is an executive for an IT company, and he was only interested in his work, his IT work. But one day he decided to check his health stats, and they told him, you have to be checked in immediately because your stats are very dangerous. He then went through a very rigid diet regime. He had to have a lot of insulin shots. But in just 3 weeks after changing to a plant-based diet, he rarely had to do his insulin shots. And in 3 months, he was able to completely stop his insulin shots. 85 kilograms. And he originally 85 kilograms and lost more weight. So this diabetes patient was radically healed. In 2019, a British science journal has already published many kinds of similar cases. Unfortunately, people in Japan think that this is not suitable for Japanese people, and no, I think, and in fact, this is very ideal for Asian people. The first doctor who came to talk for our Plant Forward seminar, they also talked about a plant-based diet from a medical perspective. They talked about similar kinds of vegetables like you did. So it really just shows that such effective vegetables really do help us. What about colonic cancer? Oh, it is known that colon cancer can be prevented by eating less red meat, because red meat contain a kind of bacteria that spread within the large intestine and the colon area. If you compare the differences between people who stop eating red meat and people who continue eating red meat, if you look at their colon area and the large intestine, there's a striking difference. So we have a question about IBS. So as I mentioned before, so IBS is not a disease, it's a kind of, it's a symptom. So people who have the IBS symptom, when they're under a lot of stress, their brain releases a kind of signal that confuses the stomach into working in a very stressful way. So they can take antibiotics when they need to, when they are suffering from IBS symptoms. Maybe you're dealing with a lot of stress at work. And they will take antibiotics to stop the symptom. But what's important is to a plant-based diet is more effective. Dairy products should be avoided absolutely for people with IBS. Yogurt yogurt contains a kind of bacteria that is not natural to the human body. So I fully advise to people with IBS to avoid dairy products, especially yogurt.
これ抗生物質で一度菌を悪いものを出してしまうということなんですけど、抗生物質
antibiotics. What if some people don't like taking antibiotics? Do you think it's possible to improve the quality of the gut without taking antibiotics? So antibiotics that are taken for IBS is different from normal kinds of antibiotics. So the antibiotics that are specially designed for people with IBS, they don't kill the bacteria, but they flush the bacteria out. So think of it like kind of a antiseptic. Another question we have is, it's good to know that eating lots of soy does not cause excess female hormones. How about fertilizers and pesticides found in soy? Not just soy, of course, but many vegetables can have a lot of high levels of pesticides, which could potentially damage our cells. So, like I said, two kinds of soy that look exactly the same. One could be one type of soy was grown in a very challenging, hostile environment, and the other soy was grown with a lot of pesticides, with GMO, in a completely safe environment like a greenhouse. That soy does not create enough complex compounds. And we need complex compounds for our immune system. Our immune system needs the kind of stimulation through our lymphatic nodes. So stimulating our lymphatic nodes regularly is important. And to do that, we need to consume a wide variety of stimulating nutrients. So tens of thousands of nutrients. If we can consume that much amount every year, we will be constantly stimulating our lymphatic nodes, which will improve our immune system. Going back to the GMO soy that was grown in a greenhouse, those only contain a few kinds of compounds. And that's going to slack off the lymphatic nodes because it's not stimulating enough. And that can actually lead to the wrong kind of movements within the cells and genetic information. Parasites are no longer a big issue for many of us living in a developed world, but in the early days, parasites was a serious problem.
それがリウマチだとか免疫の病気、喘息。
So our body is accustomed to attacking anything that seems dangerous, a threat to the body.
自分の体を守っていることに。
ありがとうございます。なるほどですね。ちょっとうちの
So it's better to it's better to consume food products that the body does not consider a threat. Somebody is asking about constipation. They don't eat any meat, but they're having trouble with constipation. What can they do? So onions and potato starch jelly. Konyaku or potato starch jelly can be made into steak. You can fry it, cook it. And I would also recommend not white rice, but partial brown rice. So always trying to eat white rice is actually bad for you. And unfortunately, many people eat white rice on a regular basis. It doesn't even have, if brown rice is too troublesome, you can mix white rice with vegetables. You can cook vegetables in the rice. So I would suggest making kinds of mixed cooked rice, not just 100% white rice. So another person, this could be the last question, but somebody's asking the 16-hour fasting that is very popular. Yes, absolutely. Fasting twice a week, skipping breakfast. So say you have dinner at 6 p.m. and you don't eat from 6 p.m. until lunch the next day. If you do this twice a week, this can prevent cancer. Yes, I remember you telling me this. I still practice this today. One more question. Somebody wants to know, is it true that the kinds of bacteria that we touch and consume before the age of 3 becomes the groundwork for our immune system for life? Our gut bacteria can actually be determined in our very early years. But so 2 people could have the exact same kind of intestine, but they could work in very different ways, because the human cell, the human DNA, we only have about 5 to 7% differences between each other. Gut bacteria, 95% of our gut bacteria is actually unique to us. And that comes from the foods that we eat that will determine the way our gut functions. So what we eat determines how our gut works. So similarly, parents and children can have very different guts because they grew up eating very different foods in their early days. Thank you, Dr. Fujiyoshi. It's a very fascinating talk. It's very amazing to know that our body works in such a complex way that we are responsible for the way our body works through the foods that we choose to consume. So I just want people to remember that it is possible for people to live a healthy life until 120. The first is to eat less calories and to exercise and to not wear too much warm clothes. Actually, staying a little cold is actually better for our health. Thank you very much. So I will give the mic back to our organizer. We have a final message to everyone. If you want to listen to the Japanese translation, please change to the Japanese channel. We have a final message from Joy. Thank you so much, Dr. Fujiyoshi.
I'm just giving everybody a bit of time to change their channels. I'll be speaking in English.
日本
Okay, great. I just want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Fujiyoshi. That was a fascinating talk and I learned so much. I'm sure that our viewers did as well. And I know that there must be lots of questions out there and I certainly hope we can do this again. We can get some more of these questions answered. So thank you, Dr. Fujiyoshi, for coming, for your time today. And also thank you to Chihiro and to Animal Rights Center for arranging this session. Thank you very much. So now I'm afraid that this does bring us to the end of our live events for Plant Forward 2022. I want to thank all of you who have joined us over these past 2 weeks. We've seen some really amazing cooking demonstrations from Chef Nana, from Chef Sayuri, from Chef Ajun, and we hope that they have inspired you to explore more plant-based food, plant-based dishes in your own kitchens. We've also had the privilege of hearing from Dr. Evan Huang, who spoke last week on managing and preventing diabetes with a plant-based diet. Dr. Jia Xu, who spoke earlier this week about the impact of plant-based diet on our mental well-being. And then today from Dr. Fujiyoshi, it was just so much about the benefits of plant-based diet, our internal health. I think our medical experts have debunked a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. They've shown us that there's so much nutritional value. There's so many health benefits that are available to us when we choose a plant-based diet and we eat wisely with that plant-based diet. So this year we've had 6 sessions in total. If you've missed any of these sessions, they've all been recorded. The events are up on ACT Asia's YouTube channel, and we will also be putting them up on our website. And for those of you who have signed up to Plant Forward, we will also be emailing you and sending you the links to all of the recordings. And for our international viewers, they are available in English, in Chinese, and in Japanese. So thank you again for supporting Plant Forward. As I'm sure all of you are aware, 2022 has been a year of record-breaking weather, especially the heat this summer. I don't think there's a single corner on this planet that hasn't felt the effects of global warming this year, which is why your support for Plant Forward is so important at this time. The animal agriculture industry is responsible for around 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which directly contributes to global warming. The animal agriculture industry also uses 80% of the global agricultural land. And in the last 50 years, over 90% of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest was purely for clearing land for pastures. And this also led to significant loss of biodiversity. We're seeing all these things happen. We're feeling it. the animal agriculture industry is destroying the environment, it's destroying our planet. The impact is real. We have to take action now before it's too late. And that is the message of Plant Forward. Our sustainable future is with plants. We encourage everybody to eat less meat, eat more plant-based food. Even if you just start with 1 day a week or 1 meal a day, it will make a huge difference. So the next time that you think steak is on the menu, make it tofu steaks. And if you don't know how to make tofu steaks, go and watch the recording of Chef Nana's event. She shows you how to make a beautiful, perfect tofu steak in just like 15 minutes. So again, we want to thank you for supporting us. And as we mentioned at the start of the event, Plant Forward is organized by ACT Asia's Compassionate Choices Network. We are a community of nonprofit organizations and social enterprises in Asia who collaborate on social change related to impact on animals, people, and the environment. So at this time, I would really like to thank the members of the network, especially Animal Rights Center Japan. Thank you so much for this session. Good Food Fund from China, Animal Concerns Research and Education Society in Singapore, also Song Tuan Chai in Vietnam, and Sharon in India, which is the Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. And last but not least is Tuvalu Climate Action Network from Tuvalu. We thank you for all of us for coming together, for working together to make Plant Forward 2022 a great success. Thank you for our Compassionate Choices Network members. And also a huge thank you to our guest speakers, our chefs, Chef Nana, Chef Sayuri, Chef Ajun, Dr. Evan Huang, Dr. Jiaxu, and Dr. Fujiyoshi. Thank you for your time, for your support. Coming to Plant Forward is making a huge difference, and this is the time to do it. And lastly, we'd also like to thank the China Biodiversity Conservation and Green Development Foundation for supporting Plant Forward and live streaming all of our events in China. Thank you so much. Before we go, I just want to let you know that we actually have 2 more bonus videos available next week. And it just happens to be what Dr. Fujiyoshi mentioned, how plant-based diet can impact, can benefit people with Alzheimer's, with dementia, and also how plant-based diet could also help children with autism and special needs. We actually have 2 videos coming up next week, special interviews with Dr. Nandita Shah, and she will be talking on these 2 topics. So these videos will be up and available on our website, which is actasia.org/plant-forward. And we'll also be sending out emails to everyone on our mailing list once the links are up. So lastly, thank you everyone for supporting Plant Forward. This is the end of our live events program for this year. However, our Compassionate Choices Network member organizations are also running a competition in their own countries. We're searching for the best vegan chef with the best vegan recipe. So please follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, whichever social media platform you use. In China, find us on Weibo, find us on WeChat. We will be sharing highlight recipes from these competitions from the different countries over the next 2 weeks. And then we will be announcing the winners on Monday, October the 17th. So please stay tuned. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next year. Goodbye from all of us at Plant Forward. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。